Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. You know, everything you could find in Torah, every discussion, especially in halacha, because it's negayah. Everything in the world, halichos olam loy. We have to. There's halacha involved. Every small part of the world. I'll give you an example. Many people have different forms of homes, different places where they live. So Baruch Hashem, the Eibishter blessed many of us, and we own our home. We rent a home, a beis dira. There are people who either for the good, for fun, for luxury, they live in a motorhome, a caravan, a motorhome park. And the question is, are they mechuyev b'mezuzah? A moving home like this, which we hope it's a temporary thing, even if he spends a long time in it, would it be mechuyev b'mezuzah? This shaila is already brought in Stei Chemed. The Stei Chemed, Mareches Mem Ois Kuf Yud Ches, discusses it. And let me tell you the discussion. What are the pros and what are the cons? First of all, in Yeridei Siman Reish Pei Vav If Yud Aleph, it talks about a bayis shebesfina, and you have those today too. People who live, their home is on a boat. That's where they live. So the Shulchan Aruch says a bayis shebesfina patur min mezuzah. Doesn't have. If you live there, you don't have to put a mezuzah. Why? Because it's not a permanent settlement. It's not a permanent home. You don't live there forever. So the chayra, it's mashma from that halacha that for a house to be obligated to put a mezuzah needs two things. A, you have to live there, and the living there is not a temporary time. As we know, the under 30 days is not considered living. And the structure has to be a type of structure that it's meant for diras kva. But if it's a temporary lifestyle, it seems to be from this halacha, you're not mechuyev b'mezuzah. So the question was asked, just like the bayis shebesfina, how about today's days, the motorhomes? So, la halacha, it's broken down into two sorts of motorhomes. There are people who get into a motorhome and they travel. They travel for luxury. They go to Dakota. They go to California. It takes them a week or 2 or 3, a month. We know even if they extend the 30-day period, and they're partying in the motorhome. They're living in the motorhome for this amount of time. After all said and done, it's not any better than the bayis shebesfina. The bayis shebesfina, it's not made for diras kva. And the halacha says that if it's not made for a permanent lifestyle, that's not a real bayis. So from that angle, you could see how it would not be mechuyev b'mezuzah. But then there are the motorhome parks where people, the whole neighborhood is, as we say, on wheels. Everybody rents a space or buys a space and they park the motorhome, and that's where they live. And the question is, would that be considered a diras arai or a diras kva? What's the discussion? After all, they're living there. That they're going to spend a couple of years or whatever. Why are they living there? Why are they living there that period of time? Are they living there because that's their lifestyle? That's where they're happy to live, or that's a temporary time period till they get themselves a normal job, or till they accumulate enough money to live amongst people in a normal home. So they're buying time, because there's a discussion, a similar discussion about this, like this, is in there's a machlokes between the Shari Ephraim and the Beis Hillel. If somebody is nebach in prison, and he could be in prison, Rahman al-Islam, for longer than 30 days, a couple of years, is that room mechuyev b'mezuzah? Why? Because nobody wants to spend time in prison. Nobody wants to live there. He's hoping and praying it's as temporary as it could be. So it's not a permanent structure to live there forever. That's not where a person wants to be. So there is a discussion. Perhaps you're not mechuyev b'mezuzah even if you're punished, quote unquote, to be there for a long time. So perhaps these people who are living in a motor park, for a couple of years, that's not where they want to be. And we actually find another similar discussion that there was a time, Nebuch, in history where there was a city that had a Magefa Rachmana Litzlan plague, and people were very sick. And people were dying. So the rest of the people of the community just moved out until they clean up, till the mess gets cleaned up, until everything gets back to normal. So where were they for the period of time? They even stayed in the closest Goyish town, and they stayed in small huts there or by the Goyim there. Now, did they come back within a week, 2, a month? No. They were there for a couple of months till the matters have settled. So the halacha was told then that because you're only here until your main home gets cleaned up, you're not mechuyev b'mezuzah. You don't want to be here. So the discussion is when a person lives in a park like that, because he's buying time until he can be more settled, perhaps that's not called a diras kva for him. And that's actually in the Shilas Teshuvah Minchas Yitzchak, Siman Pei Beis, Chelik Beis, somebody suggested this to Dayan Weiss. And Dayan Weiss said if you're going to go that route, you're going to be in big trouble. Because every person who rents a house is always dreaming to buy his fantasy house. He's never happy with what he has. He wants to have a nicer house. Are you going to tell me a person should never be mechuyev mezuzah because he's waiting for his dream home? So he actually paskins that if a person lives in a motor park and he's there more than 30 days, and that's a way of living, you're actually mechuyev mezuzah.